welcome to Dangers Untold. I'm your host, as always, Edward Jones, and joining me, of course, is our resident Labyrinth Uber fan, the one and only Emily.
Did you forget my name?
May have done. I was going to call you Kim. I was like,
wow.
Actually,
What were you going to call me?
I was going to call you Kim, and you're like, you're not Kim. You're not Canadian.
Kim. I'm not Canadian. I can't.
You're not
accent.
my other co-host and the other show. So.
You could
Yes.
have called me Stephen. I don't know. I would have been less offended if you'd have called me Stephen. I don't know.
But yes, I am joined by of course, a resident Labyrinth fan, the one and only Miss Emily Slade. I almost forgot again
me. Then. Jesus Christ.
Okay.
Did you mean to go on?
Tonight's episode, we are talking about the Wiseman and Hat. As we reach the halfway point of our journey through the Labyrinth. And we get some interesting revelations as we essentially hit the Oracle portion of every good fantasy story, with the Oracle coming in the form of the Wiseman and his hat, who is also rather chatty, but, in a cool way, not a Harry Potter way.
Questionably racist.
Okay, discuss.
Well, they put on, an accent, a Spanish accent, for, no real reason. And, we've come across this accent in the Labyrinth before, and it feels less like diversity and more like Jim Henson's Muppet team do funny voices, and one of those funny voices is, an exaggerated Spanish accent.
It's interesting you say that, because this is the sort of voice that I would assume a peacock would have. This sort of loud, piercing sort of voice. I mean, obviously, you can also the term Spanish peacock. So, for some reason, it never dawned on me that it would be considered any form of offensiveness to it.
It's appropriation, isn't it? Using the accent for comedy. It's that's not a joke. That's how I speak, kind of thing. And obviously, it's exaggerated. And I am not of Spanish or Mexican descent, so I don't really have a right to say anything, but I just find it an interesting trait amongst the works of these people that it's so often used for comedy. You never get a straight, the wise man is well, young lady, and then the hat's whoa, 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 or whatever, and it's okay, I see what you're doing here. I don't know, discuss. I don't know.
Okay.
Just put a pin in that.
Well, the Wiseman, as we saw at the end of our last episode, comes shuffling across and provides Sarah with some... I don't know, is it even useful information?
No. And I feel like it's not uncommon for him to do that either. Because as they walk, I feel they're not exactly con men, because I can't imagine they garner much work within the Labyrinth. In order to call themselves con men, but they clearly just wander around pretending to be wise, giving advice, but the advice is fortune cookie advice, where it's soon you will be sitting on top of the world. Do you know how I came up so easily with that fortune cookie? It's because I have it in my phone. I have a fortune cookie on the back of my phone case because I like them. So
you like fortune cookies?
I like to eat them, and I like to keep the
I thought they were always very overrated. I was it was the first time we had a fortune cookie, I was excited. And then I just realised that it's just a really bad biscuit.
No, it's a really good biscuit, because it's really sweet. It's sweet bread, but hardened. Yeah. So it's brioche that's been that's crunchy. So it's the best of all the worlds. It's delicious, and the best thing about fortune cookies, much like bounties, is that no one else likes them, so you end up having them all.
How can you compare a fortune cookie to a bounty? A bounty's up there in the upper echelons of things. It's up there with the Reese's Nutrageous.
It's because people hate them. Lots of people don't like them.
Okay.
So, and lots of people don't like fortune cookies either, which is dumb.
Yeah.
Because they're yummy.
Okay. So yeah, he's there because obviously in every fantasy story you have the Oracle type character. And do you think the inclusion of the Wise Man was to just fill this sort of criteria to sort of give? He's there really just more for Sarah to have someone to play off against, because obviously if she talks to Hoggle, he's very argumentative. A lot of these characters, they're not the sort of people you can sort of bounce ideas off, and the Wiseman is sort of like someone you can get a sense of where you're going. It's more just...
No, I think he's just another example of, like, random person we meet in the Labyrinth. So we've had the 4 guards, we've had the talking hands, we've, like... obviously, Hoggle is more interactive, as will Ludo be in the future, and Sir Didymus. But then we'll have the door knockers and the fireys, and there's, like, just sort of countless examples of these, like, characters that either Toby Jones or Jim Henson came up with. Toby Jones? Who's Toby Jones?
Toby Jones is the writer.
Did I get that right? I feel like Toby Jones is the voice of Dobby. Did I get that right?
Oh, is it Brian Froud, isn't it? Oh God.
No, oh my God.
Terry Jones wrote the screenplay.
Terry Jones. I knew I'd got it right. Terry Jones from Monty Python, not Toby Jones from the voice of Dobby in Harry Potter and a million other wonderful things. And that's Koska that I bumped into him in once. That was fun.
Yeah.
It was in like a station and he walked in with his wife and I was like, oh, look who it is.
I met one of the crazy Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in the airport.
Nice.
Nobody else cared when I went back to the office. So yeah, I was very like it's one of those awkward situations whenever you meet anyone. I don't, for myself it is because I don't move in like the same celebrity circles you obviously do. But for myself, it's always sort of like, what do you say to this? And it's sort of like, you invented Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. You're my childhood, and what's he gonna go? It's like, tell me something I don't know.
No.
But no, he was very cool.
Yeah, that's nice. But yeah, so it just feels like a character, like another random character that like they came up with for Sarah to just like bump into. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
Like it doesn't feel anything beyond that. I can see how you would fit him into the Oracle role, but he's too vague for that, and whether that's on purpose or not.
But then again, oracles are generally rather cryptic. We look at the old man in Willow. We look at the weird sisters in Clash of the Titans. They're normally like, you normally go to them looking for answers and normally come away more confused, and then it's sort of all, you realise that it's just by talking to them you're straightening things out in your own head. You're working it out by bouncing things off them. And I think with Sarah's conversation with the wise man, she basically realising again who her allies are, because she's sort of like, she says, Hoggle's my friend. And Hoggle himself doesn't realise this at some point, because Hoggle's really never had a friend, and now he has one in Sarah. And we also see her give the ring to the wise man. And when I was watching this, because I'm obviously just drawing links to everything now, myself thought it's like, oh, maybe this is like the ring she bought to symbolise her relationship with Jareth. And by obviously her fading relationship now with Jareth, it's like, I don't need this anymore, so I can give you this ring.
What do you mean to symbolise her relationship with Jareth?
Well, it's like, in the so-called real world, she has this like romantic idea of this relationship she has with the Goblin King. And it's, and I'm probably just because I read a lot of fan fiction here, that she got this ring to symbolise their connection, and now that obviously she's facing off against him and realising what a kind of a cad he is, it's sort of like, I don't need this. This is me giving up power that he once held up over me, because I can't think of why the ring would be like seen as so significant. She just gives some random piece of jewelry.
Yeah, because they ask. Because he says, you must put a donation in the box. She goes to give him a random piece of jewelry from Hoggle's hoard, and Hoggle's like, don't even fucking think about it. So then she's like, oh, well, I got some jewelry that's not Hoggle's, that's mine. Have this instead. It felt very innocuous and very thoughtless to me. And the only reason Hoggle's like, is because it's like jewelry that he might have had, and like, you know, it's canon that he likes jewelry, so it's like he doesn't like to see people give jewelry away.
I'm just saying it's just weird that the camera focuses on it the way that it does, and it's done in such a slow, deliberate movement. She doesn't just like whip it off and drop it in the box like just a donation. There seems to be like some deeper meaning to it. At least that's what they're trying to put across from the ring. That's why I was reading into it anyway. So.
Yeah, that's fair. Hang on. I promise I don't have COVID.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I think when we look at the hat is very much a. I think it's one of those examples of the meeting of the two worlds. Obviously, you've got Terry Jones, who's written the script with the Wiseman in it, and then you've obviously got Henson, who's like gone, it's like, well, I can put a twist in this. I'm going to have the hat be this funny wisecracking character, but not in that Disney way. No, this like talk to the wing and that's so nonsense. We just had the idea of this hat that's like fully aware that it's a hat, and is kind of in the same time a little frustrated in its position in life.
Yeah, it's a funny character, isn't it? I think it's one of those. Sorry.
That's okay.
Oh my god.
Need a glass of water or something?
It's a funny character, isn't it? I think it's one of those like characters that's very memorable. Like when people think of the Labyrinth, they might like quote this character because he's got such a distinct voice and such funny lines. Yeah,
definitely. So I mean the line of the line of it being, it's not easy being someone's hat. Stuck with me like way back when I saw this as a kid. That line's always sort of stuck with me, and this character has sort of stuck with me. Mainly his hat has stuck with me, should I say? And I think it's because it was just so present there, and it's sort of the fact he argues with his hat as well. It's sort of like you've got this piece of headwear, and you just spend all your time arguing with it because it's too loud and interrupts your thoughts.
Yeah, definitely.
I also like the fact that the Wiseman, despite being asleep, still manages to put out his donation tin. Making me wonder, was he actually asleep?
Yeah, I always took that as like the hat kind of controlled his body a little bit.
Oh, right.
You know what I mean? Because he's like, please leave a donation in the little box. Or whatever.
Yeah.
And I always saw that as like him moving the guy's arm because the guy was just asleep.
That's an interesting approach. I just thought the guy like fell asleep, like the same way that Yoda dies because he gets tired of listening to Luke's questions.
He's like, I'm out.
It's like I feel your pain. But yeah, I mean, when we come away from it, we have this really nice bond between Hoggle and Sarah. And the fact that, she's like, you are my friend. It's a very interesting friendship we have, but it's, the closest thing I have to a friend or an ally in this labyrinth.
Yeah. Yeah, the friendship between Sarah and Hoggle is like a whole thing, isn't it? And we've sort of got the bond from the oubliette, then we run away from the cleaners together, and then this is where they proper start having conversations about, like, what friendship is. She calls him his friend in front of somebody else, and then he's like, oh, am I your friend? And then immediately she's like, nah, I'm out.
Would you like to have had an additional musical moment here where they sing a song about being a friend?
No. I don't think Hoggle's singing. It's like Jafar singing. It's not really a vibe. Like, I don't think we would take Hoggle seriously as, like, this grump if he sang.
I was thinking more just from Sarah's standpoint. Do you think she's got the ability to carry a song? I mean, Hoggle can obviously do that thing in musicals where you have one character just like talks and stomps around a lot, while the other one does all the heavy lifting. And I just wondered if you thought that, her range was up there or something that they may have considered, because it feels like a moment that they could have put a song in there. I'm glad they obviously didn't, because I think one of the greatest things about Labyrinth is the fact that while it has music, it's never intrusive. It's like the Phantom Toll Booth in that respect, where you have other musicals like Sweeney Todd, where it's sort of like they're just cramming in the music for the sake of it. It's not doing anything. You're just killing time. I just don't need that. So I just to say just one of those few moments where I thought maybe there could have been a song here.
Yeah, that's fair. I can I can see that argument.
And now Emily will throw one together for the delight of our audience.
But she really, really won't.
Maybe not this second.
Oh my god.
But yeah, no lot else to really discuss in this one, unfortunately. We obviously hear...
No, it's funny. It's like an iconic scene, but like nothing really happens.
Yeah, I mean, the main sort of thing that we take away from the scene is that, Sarah and Hoggle are friends. And then Hoggle is also the sort of friend who will run away at the slightest hint of danger, because Hoggle is friends with Hoggle.
And I think that's his sort of main character arc, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where sort of this is his call to adventure, and this is his denial of it. So then I guess we'll just have to wait and see where it goes next.
I do love the scene just before he runs off, where he's trying to kick her and she's got a hand on his head.
Yeah. It's
just like the way that his body moves and stuff. It's just, as I said, it's all so grounded in like the realism of his character.
I really noticed that in this scene, how much of a character Hoggle was. Like, he wasn't a puppet. I mean, that they all were, to be honest. Yeah. Like, the way the wise man's eyes moved and his mustache twitched, and the way Hoggle reacts to the slightest things. Like his reaction, as you say, when she says, my friend, and he doesn't say anything, but he, like, physically reacts like an actor would in that moment. But it's a puppet, but, like, it's an actor. Like, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's not easy as well to have a character who looks as gruff as Hoggle. I mean, to do gruff with that character or to have him be grumpy, it's very easy because the face goes with that sort of emotion. So to see him, the ability to soften that character in and it's all in the face with Hoggle, just like, and they have it in such close up when they see him like soften, like you see the starting with the eyes, and it just goes down slightly, sort of around the jowls. It's just, you can really get a lot of emotion from this character, and I think it's just by having them put in the amount of like thought into like how this character's face is going to move. I think it's so key to obviously him selling the emotion with other characters. It's sort of like Sir Didymus is very much in the eyes, and the same way that like Kermit's in the snout. There's just certain puppets that they just like have, whereas Ludo just seems to have the same expression, but for some reason I think because he's like the big dopey dog that we project our own emotions onto him. So
yeah,
and I'm just noticing now that the Wiseman. Oh, hello, Marmite. I just noticed the Wiseman made it onto the cover of this DVD, which I've never noticed till now.
Oh, nice.
He's up there with
cool.
Fiery. He's like, because you got the 3 globes on the front, and obviously the first one's like Ludo, Sarah, and Jareth, and then you've got Hoggle and Sir Didymus in the other, and then you've got the Wiseman and Fiery in the other. And I think very curious to know why they chose him, but
yeah, and like maybe they knew that he was gonna be. Maybe they put all of their like bets into it because he was like gonna be funny or whatever.
Yeah, maybe
it's funny. Yeah, I don't know.
Cool.
It's good though. Good stuff.
Anything else you want to talk about in this one?
No, I think that's everything.
Cool. Well, that brings us to the end of tonight's episode. have a little briefer jaunts than usual into the Labyrinth, but we hope you've enjoyed it nonetheless. We will, of course, be back next time to talk about our next chapter, Ludo, in which we're obviously going to be meeting a very key member of our party. But in the meantime, if you want to follow us, you can do. We're on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. We post all sorts of random Labyrinth-style bits and pieces up there. And, let us know in the comment section what your thoughts are on Labyrinth. And
yeah, boy.
And, wherever you happen to listen to us, make sure you hit the like and subscribe buttons. Leave us a review. It all helps raise the profile of the show. But, as I said, until next time, thank you to my co-host, Emily.
Thank you.
And we will be back next time to talk about Ludo. But until then, good night.